we have been thinking about Jesus' life when he was here on earth. He left heaven to come to earth for a specific reason, and we call that his ministry. And for the last 6 weeks, we've been thinking about the miracles that Jesus did as part of his ministry. And of course, last week we said the greatest, the best, the most amazing miracle of all was when Jesus died and rose again and made a way for us to have new life. But we finished our time thinking about miracles, and so today we're moving on to thinking about Jesus' teaching. His teaching was another part of his ministry. And we're going to be thinking, over the next 12 weeks, we're going to be thinking about who he taught, what he taught, how he taught. But we're starting today by thinking about who he taught. And today, specifically, we're going to think about when he taught crowds of people. But before we get into all that, let's think about this. Who teaches you? Well, in September, there's a very obvious answer to who teaches you. Your teachers in school. They are there to teach you. They get paid to teach you. And they can do that because once they were kids, same age as you, teenagers, same age as you, they went to school and they had to learn. Then when they were a little bit older, they went to university. Now there's loads of stuff that they know, in theory. And now it's their job to teach you. They can pay to do that. But there's other people who teach you as well. Almost from the very day you're born. Your parents teach you. Your parents are there to teach you how to stay safe. The first thing that mom says, no, don't touch that, don't do that, don't touch, no, leave alone. All things like that, but it's all to teach you. They also teach you important things like how to brush your teeth, having a bath. Your parents are there to teach you things like good manners, sharing your toys. A parent's job is never done. Then maybe somebody like a football coach. You probably all know how to kick a ball, but a football coach will help you and teach you the skills that you need to be a better player and to improve. And they can do that because they have experience. And when you come to church, you actually come here to learn. In kids' church, we try to teach you about God and about his ways. And when you're older, some of you are, and you're able to listen and to understand Gordon and our visiting speakers like Michael, who's here today, you know, they come for a reason. Michael loves to come to this church. He loves us really, and I think he kind of likes us. But that's not why he comes. He comes because he wants to teach us more about God. And we're here to learn more about God. Now, if you wanted to learn to play the piano, you would need someone who already knows how to play the piano to teach you. You know, do you want to learn to play the piano? Maybe if you do want to play the piano, you could ask me. You see, I used to have a piano in my house when I was growing up. And do you think if I took my time and told you every single thing that I know about playing the piano, and if you listened very carefully and remembered everything that I told you, do you think you could play the piano? I'll tell you why. I never learned to play the piano. So here, in 2 seconds, is everything that I know about playing the piano. It has some white notes, it has some black notes, and it takes lots of practice to be able to play. You see, I never learned to play the piano, so I couldn't teach you. You would need to go to an expert. And that brings us to Jesus. Jesus was the Son of God. He came to earth to teach us about God and about his kingdom. As we said before, Jesus left heaven to come to earth. So he knew what he was talking about. He was a bit of an expert. He was able to teach those things. And lots of people were interested in listening to Jesus. I said that today we're going to be thinking about how Jesus taught the crowds. Now, in a crowd of people, you have lots and lots of different people. They're all different. You wouldn't have a crowd of everybody being the same. They're all different. You would have young people, you would have old people, you would have children, you would have people in families, you might have people on their own, you might have rich people, poor people, all different. And that tells me that what Jesus had to say was for everybody. He wanted everybody to hear. And those crowds who came, sometimes there were even thousands of them. Thousands of people came. They came because they had heard about the miracles that Jesus was doing. They had heard about the things that he was saying. And they came to listen for themselves. They came to find out what is this all about. And you know what? They listened for hours. They didn't get bored. They didn't look at their watch and say, when is they ever going to shut up? No, they wanted to hear more and more. They wanted to hear what Jesus had to say. This Jesus was different to the other teachers they had. You see, they did have religious teachers called the Pharisees. And they knew all about God's laws. They knew everything there was to know about God's laws, and it was their job to teach the people. But sometimes the Pharisees didn't always keep God's laws themselves. They didn't always live the way they should. The people were a bit confused, but this Jesus was different. But imagine if we were doing a series in Kids Church about maybe the 10 Commandments. And one week maybe I'd say to you, you must not steal. And then after church, imagine you saw me in a shop, and if I took something and I didn't pay for it, well, you wouldn't believe another word I said. You certainly wouldn't trust me. Or you might think, well, if she can do it, I can do it. But this Jesus was different. What he taught was how he lived. Everything that he said was telling the people those were the things that he was doing himself. He taught love and he showed love.
God's story, the Sermon on the Mount. So part of God's story is about a sermon Jesus gave on the side of a mountain and what he did afterwards. And it goes like this. One day, when Jesus saw crowds gathering to hear him teach or see him do miracles, he went to the side of a mountain. It was near the Sea of Galilee, across from a place called Capernaum. From there, he gave a message all about God's kingdom and his love. We call this message the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus started by explaining who would get blessings or favor from God. He said the most blessed people are those who are poor, sad, or humble. He said God shows favor to people who are just or treat others fairly, and people who are merciful or show love to those who don't deserve it. He said the people who are pure, who bring peace, or who get hurt for doing right will be rewarded for their actions in heaven. In other words, the people who love others, even when it makes them seem weak or unimportant on earth, are like heroes in God's kingdom. Anyway, Jesus went on to explain that when we believe in and follow him, it's our job to show everyone else who he is by loving them. That means going out of our way not only to comfort and help our friends, but also forgive people who hurt us, love our enemies, and give to people in need. The thing is, Jesus didn't just talk about love, he showed it all the time. In fact, right after giving this sermon, Jesus spent the rest of the day helping everyone he met. First, as Jesus came down from the mountain, a man with a skin disease called leprosy knelt before him. "Lord," the man said, "if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean." Usually, no one wanted to be around people with leprosy, but Jesus touched him and said, "I am willing, be healed." Instantly, the leprosy disappeared. Then, when Jesus...
So, the people had been taught about love before. See, it's easy to love our friends. It's easy to love people who love us back. It's easy to be nice and be kind to people who are nice and kind to us. But this teacher, Jesus, he was teaching a different kind of love, because he also said you have to love your enemies. Wow, that's hard. Imagine being nice and kind to people who are rude and nasty and mean to you, but yet that's what Jesus was teaching. But naturally, that's not very easy for us to do. We need to have God in our hearts, God's love in our hearts. Then it will be easier for us to do what Jesus wants us to do. You see, the Pharisees, the people, the religious leaders who taught the people prior to Jesus, they loved doing good things. They were good at being good, but they did it for the wrong reasons. They did lots of good things because they wanted people to say, oh, look what they did. Oh, look what he did. Isn't he wonderful? Look how many good things he did today. They wanted to impress people. That's why they did good. But we need to have a change inside our hearts. We need to change from the inside to be able to be good on the outside. And so we're not wanting to be good to impress other people. We should want to do good things because that's what Jesus was teaching. That's what God wants us to do. So we should want to do good things to please him. When Jesus was teaching the people, in the middle of a big, long sermon on the mountainside, he said this. He said, this is the most important rule. Do you want to know what the most important rule that Jesus said was? He said the most important rule is this. Love God with all your heart. Then love your neighbour as yourself. And that just means treat other people the way you would want to be treated. I'm sure none of us here like to be treated badly. None of us like it when people are nasty to us or rude to us. We don't like that. So we shouldn't be like that to other people. We do like it when people are friendly and helpful and kind. And that's what we should do. But not just to please other people. We should be wanting to do those things because it pleases God. As I said before, the people listened to Jesus for hours. And when he had finished, they did not say, thank goodness that's over. I thought he was never going to shut up. Like someone might say later. No. But this is what they did say, and I'm going to read it. This is in Matthew chapter 7, verses 28 and 29. This is how it's written in the International Children's Bible. When Jesus finished saying these things, the people were amazed at his teaching. Jesus did not teach like the other teachers of the law. He taught like a person who had authority. Why did Jesus have authority? Well, as we said before, Jesus was and is the Son of God, so he had authority. But you know what? Some of these people that were listening hadn't even realised yet that Jesus was the Son of God, and yet they still thought that Jesus spoke as someone who had authority. Why was that? Because everything that Jesus was talking about, telling them to do, he was already living that way. He did what he taught. He lived how he taught. And that's why he was able to speak with authority. He is our example. And you know what? He wants us to be an example to others. He wants us now to go out and show that love, be kind to others, including those who are maybe not so good to us. We won't always get it right. We're not perfect. Only Jesus was perfect. But we should want to share God's love with other people and be his disciples.
Here's the quick version. Crowds gathered. Jesus went to a mountain. He gave a sermon. He talked about God's kingdom. He told us how to love others. Jesus didn't just talk about love. He showed it. He healed sick people. He saved people who were demon-possessed. He calmed storms. He showed his love to everyone he met. Our job is to do that too. And that's a part of God's story.
Alright, we're going to finish off by singing one of our kids' church favourite songs. We haven't sung it for a long time. Jesus' love is very wonderful. But remember, usually when we're singing this, we're thinking about Jesus' love. And of course we are. But remember that we're supposed to show that same love to others as well. Jesus' love is very wonderful. So high, can't think of it, so low.
well, Adrian.
Right, I can move. Right,